truly one of the most amazing people on the planet, and someone I am so proud to call my friend. My life changed when she entered it. Dr. Edith Eger.
Here comes Mama. Here comes Mama. Thank you. What a blessing. What a wonderful blessing. Precious Windy girl. Your brilliance, your beauty, your blessing that God sent you my way is what it's all about, because people don't come to me, they're sent to me. And February is a time when we concentrate on our hearts. February is a month when we talk about love. So what is love? It's a four-letter word. It's called T-I-M-E, time. I'm here to honor you because that's what it's all about, that Audrey said, that it's about self-love, which is self-care, which is not narcissistic, that we have on the one hand, that we really care for ourselves, because if you don't love you, why should I? So, we're born with love. We learn to hate. We learn to fear. We're not born with it. Right? We're bouncy little girls we touch wherever. Why did I become a sexologist? Because I remember that my friend's mom gave birth to a little boy, and I asked my mom, where do babies come from? And she said, your stomach opens up. So I go to bed with my infinite wisdom. I figured it out that babies come from my belly button. So when I was doing my doctoral work, I told my supervisor, I want to work with couples because I do my choreography, how opposites meet, and then you marry that person that you dated, and then all of a sudden you become the wife and the husband and the mother and the wife, and you talk about the children, and what happens? And he says, so what's your problem, Edie? I said, well, they talk to me about three things: sex, money, and in-laws. Maybe not in that order. So he says, well, you know, I met my husband in a TB hospital. I was 17. I was totally bored. I don't know just how it all happened, but he brought me Hungarian salami and Swiss cheese, and people say, well, did you love your husband? Love? What is love? What is love? My definition of love is the ability to let go. Let go. let go of the past hurts and failures. And people tell me, you know, Edie, you overcame. And I say, no. I was at the Sheraton the other day. I came out having a beautiful filet mignon for dinner. I love food. And I never leave any food on my plate. But I was walking on cobblestones, and immediately I was thinking of the children who were spitting at me and told me that I am a cancer to society. And I looked at those children in Germany and I said to myself, someday, children, you will not really be taught to hate. And it just so happened that I was working in a hospital and taking care of German families, and a little girl jumped in my lap and called me Oma. So you see, there is hope in hopelessness. And I want to talk to you about that, because maybe February is your rebirth, your renaissance, that you're not going home, you're going to have a new beginning. Because you were born free, you were born to love. But you see, you can't really give up anything unless you replace it with something else. I remember when one of my patients told me, you know, I pick out on this and I pick out on that, and if you're gonna see something like that, you know, you reinforce the very behavior that you're paying attention to. You cannot really lose weight while you're telling this to yourself. So when you get up in the morning, I like you to look in the mirror and say, I am graciousness, as you walked in here today and I was watching you, and I am beauty, because God doesn't make junk. You're one of a kind, you're a beautiful diamond. I remember when I was teaching psychology, I told my students that, no, there is an American saying that if you would really knew me, you wouldn't love me. You remember that? And I would say, well, you think that's true? If I really would know you, you would love me, and then would go, you know, like that. So this morning, I also like you to know that I gave birth to my little girl in Czechoslovakia. I came to America, and a few years later, I drove myself to the hospital in Baltimore, Maryland in 1954, because my husband worked for a CPA and didn't let him go. I am, you know, the liberated woman. So I arrived in a hospital, they put me in a crib, you know, and then I wake up in a bed and I ask the nurse, how long do I have to suffer? Because it took me like 24 hours to have my first child. She says, oh, you had your baby 4 hours ago. And I said, that's America. And guess what's her name? Her name is Audrey. I have an Audrey, and my little Audrey's daughter is getting married in May. So this is my biggest joy, to be able to be hopefully a role model to you, that out of darkness comes light, and out of prison comes freedom. And so I'm hoping that this morning is not just any other morning, but it is hopefully letting go, letting go. Because you will not forget what happened to you, you will not overcome, but I hope that you will do what I do. I want to be a good role model to you. You come to terms with it. I don't live in Auschwitz. What keeps me young is that I live in the present, because I can only touch you now. I hope we learn from history. I pray to God that will never ever happen, and I do everything in my power to see to it that your children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren will never experience what I did. So, the few minutes, with your permission, put on your seat belts and I'll take you. I'll take you to heaven. When I was a little girl, I had a ballet master who looked at me and said, God built you in such a magnificent way that all your ecstasy has to come from inside out. I had no idea what he was talking about. And when I was on the cattle car, my mom hugged me and she said, we don't know where we're going, honey. Just remember, no one can take away from you what you put here in your own mind. And that's exactly what happened May 1944. I know that because it's documented by the Red Cross. And yes, when I arrived and we were separated, and yes, my mom was in the middle and my sister Magda on one side and Clara on the other side, and Clara was a child prodigy in violin. And her Christian professor smuggled her out and hid her until the end of the war. You would be those kinds of people. You would be the kind of people who commit yourself to go beyond the me, and commit yourself to save others. I really want to honor Dr. D and Marjang, but I also like to tell you, I wouldn't look like this without Sheila. Sheila girl is my precious treasure. Please show yourself. Yes, Sheila girl is the one that you want to surrender to and just say, do me. Just do me, Sheila girl, because without you my eyes wouldn't be so big. I feel so young and ageless. Don't worry about the chronological age. I never felt as happy in my life as I do now. Really, being with you is such a joy, such a blessing, such a blessing. And yes, it's very true, Dr. Mengele pointed my mother to go to the left and the sister to the right. And for about 4 years, I could not forgive myself. Because Dr. Mengele asked me, is this your mother or your sister? And I said, my mother. And I was haunted and haunted. And I never forgave myself that I survived to the point that when I graduated with honors in the University of Texas, I never showed up for my graduation because I said to myself, I don't deserve that. You see, I didn't need a Nazi, I had one in me. So the word I'd like to offer you today is permission. Give yourself permission to have fun and joy. Give yourself permission to be free. And when I was working with 2 paraplegics in a military hospital, and one of them was in a fetal position, why me? Cursing God, you name it. Country, of course. Conversely, the other one said to me, you know, Doc, I feel so blessed that God gave me a second chance, even though I'm in a wheelchair. I feel that I can look at my children's eyes much closer. I can see the flowers, and here I am in a white coat, Dr. Eger, Department of Psychiatry, and feeling like a biggest imposter. Because I went to school, and I went to school, and I went to school, because I thought somehow I need to deserve that I survived. So I beg of you not to do what I did. You matter. Love yourself. So, when I take you to Auschwitz, I like to point out to you about the choices that were still there. When Dr. Mengele appointed my mom to go to the left and my sister and I to the right, I asked one of the inmates, when will I see my mother? She pointed at the chimney. Fire was coming out of the chimney, and she said very coldly, she's burning there, you better talk about her in past tense. Magda hugged me and she said, the spirit never dies. And that's exactly what I bring you, that spirit, that defiance, that degree recognizing I was not free from the outside, but I created a world inside me. As Precious Windy remembers my words, because I was told I'm never going to get out of here alive. And I said to myself, if I survive today, tomorrow I'll be free. And I'm going to show my boyfriend, because he told me I have beautiful eyes and I have beautiful hands. And that kept me going, that they could throw me in a gas chamber, and yes, we never knew what's going to happen next, because we didn't know whether water or gas is going to come out when we take a shower, but my curiosity kept me alive. So I want to give you my curiosity today, that you don't get stuck in what you hear on the news, that you really know that you have a choice to be a victim, or to be a victimizer, or to be not only a survivor, but a thriver. And that's what you $1 million babies are all about. You allowing people to live and celebrate life. And without you, and without Dr. D, they would just really not make it. Life is so beautiful, so very beautiful, but it's up to us. And I remember Precious Windy told me, tell him about the story about Magda. Magda was the beautiful one in my family. Clara was the superstar. I was supposed to be a boy, and so I became the runt. And I became cross-eyed when I was 3 years old, and my sisters blindfolded me when they took me for a walk, because they told me I'm never going to find a husband. When I speak at schools, I tell the children, don't allow anybody to define who you are. You're beautiful, because there'll never be another you, or you, or you, or you. It's not what we do, it's who we are. You are today the most beautiful diamond that God ever created. Don't you ever forget that. So I had my God, you know. And my God, well, somehow guided me to change the hatred into pity. So when we were completely shaved, and my Magda, who is alive and well, she had her 95th birthday. I think she's 96. I don't know why 1 year makes a difference in a Hungarian woman. But anyway, she played bridge with Omar Sharif. She's brilliant. Magda calls me and she says I'm gorgeous. Magda, do you know Zsa Gabor? You're too young to know. Magda is Zsa Gabor. So, Magda looks at me, and we were completely shaven, and she asked me a really Hungarian question, how do I look? Believe me, I looked at Magda, and I realized that I'm her mirror. And I had a choice then, as you have a choice now, whether you point out what you lost or concentrate is what you still have here. And I tell you, Magda looked, can you picture with the board, a little naked girl? I said, Magda, you have such beautiful eyes, and you know what? I didn't see it when you had hair all over the place. Find the spark. Find that spark. It's there. Believe me, it's there. I am so, so preciously happy to be here with you. Now, Precious One wrote me because I wander here, and I'm a Wonder Woman, you know, I go here and there, come back. When I take you to Auschwitz, I want to point out to you that they would beat me, and they did, and torture, then they throw me in a gas chamber, but they could never, ever murder my spirit. And that's what I bring you today. That's what I bring you today. Just a little more. Now I'm going to take you to the time, it was December 1944. I stood to get my tattoo, I didn't get it. I said, how come? Because you're going to the gas chamber, they don't want to waste the ink on you. So I'm saying goodbye to Magda. All of a sudden, she's in one pile, I'm in the other pile. Survivors are quick decision maker. I cannot ask why me. I don't have such a luxury. I have to say, what now? And Magda was in one pile, I was in the other pile, and I started to do cartwheels. It's going to be in my book. And Magda came, and I was out of Auschwitz carrying ammunition for the Nazis, thinking that the British wouldn't bomb, but they bombed anyway. About 7 girls died around me. I was the first one to jump, and you know, I was a good gymnast. And I ran to the forest, there was no Magda. I came back, and Magda fell, and she hurt herself. And unfortunately, when I saw prisoners, these were political prisoners, eating, I chewed out my sister. I'm so ashamed of it, because her reputation was the sexy one. My mother told me, I'm so glad you have brains because you have no looks. So I'm true, that's why I became so erudite. So, didn't hurt me any. So I said to Magda, now that you could go ask for food, look how you look. So not only I had survivor's guilt later on, but I had survivor's shame. And shame is awful. Please get rid of it. Please get rid of it. So we were going from place to place. We became slave laborers, and we ended up in a place where they put us in a community room, and we were told April 1945 that if we leave the premises we're going to be shot right away. And Magda told me if I don't get some food she's going to die. I went outside and I saw some carrots in the next garden. I jumped, I saw the carrots, and I climbed up and I met the guard with a gun. I never held a gun in my life. And I heard the clicking about 3 times, and then he put the gun down and he looked at me like a father who was going to really punish me. and he turned the gun around and pushed me inside. I had the courage. The following morning, he wanted to know who dared to leave the premises, and I crawled to him. This is 1945, and the German people are starving too. He gave me a little loaf of bread and said, "You must have been hungry to do what you did. I wish I could meet this man today." They were diamonds, even in that garbage farm. Then we arrived in Mauthausen. We stood in front of the crematoria. They changed their minds. And I survived what is called the Death March. In the Death March, when you stopped, you were shot right away. And I'm beginning to slow down. I'm just picturing myself doing that. And then the girls that I shared the bread with, when I danced for Dr. Mengele and he gave me a piece of bread and I shared it with the girls, they came and they carried me. They formed that chair with their arms so I wouldn't die. And this is what you're doing, miracle babies. You're forming that chair here. You're carrying those precious babies. You're carrying those mothers who are coping with the totally unexpected and the totally unanticipated. They won't do it. So I hope that you can celebrate not just in February, but every day. I was liberated in Gunskirchen May 4th, 1945. A couple years ago, I got a call from Fort Carson, Colorado City. Dr. Eger, we heard about you. You have a good reputation working with the military. Would you please come and talk about PTSD? And sure enough, I go to Fort Carson, Colorado, and I discovered that it's the home of the 71st Infantry. Isn't that amazing that everything somehow comes around? So this morning is hopefully a new beginning, and I really hope that you maybe use me as be your midwife. I thank you so much. I'm so happy to be alive. Thank you. Precious everybody. Take good care. I love you. God bless you.